I am not a writer at all. I've had very little education in that, but I've had a very colorful life. I have a lot of stories. They're all true, believe it or not. Joe, my beautiful friend over there, said I should put some of these stories on paper to give to my granddaughters. I'm hesitant because right now they think I'm a pretty cool guy. And after these stories get out, I think things might change. But when I was 9 years old, my mother, 2 sisters, and I moved to Arkansas to live with my grandmother. Now, my grandmother had over 300 acres that she farmed by herself with 1 hired hand and 2 mules. I can't remember the hired hand's name, but the mules' names were Dime and Jude. Shortly after I got there, my grandmother called me aside. She always would cut my chin in her hands. She looked at me, she said, "Now, Henry, there are some rules that you have to follow while you're here at the country. Now, they seem like they'd be very easy to follow, but when you're 9 years old, you look at things a little different. One thing, do not chase the chicken or the livestock. Do not climb the windmill, and you do not play with matches, especially around the barn." All right, now, that was pretty good up to that point. These stories I'm going to tell tonight and in the future are in regards to my rules that I did not follow while I was on the farm. Anyway, shortly after I got there, about a week or so, I was in the house. My grandmother came in and said there were 2 boys out in front that had ridden over and wanted to know if I could go with them to pick blackberries. "Sure, Grandma, that'd be fun. I've had 2 sisters to play with. I'll do anything. I'd go out and play with the horses rather than play with my sisters again." So anyway, I ran out the door, ran to the gate, and there were 2 boys sitting on a mule out there. So I introduced myself, they introduced themselves, and they said they were going to go pick blackberries, and would I like to go? "Sure," I said. So I ran back in and asked Grandma. Grandma said, "Yeah, I know the parents. They're God-fearing people, and you'll be safe with them." "Okay," I said. I started back out the door, and I thought, well, they didn't have a shirt on. They didn't have shoes on. They'd been out in the sun. They were brown as a berry. I'm going to fit right in. So I kicked my shoes off, took my shirt off. I started across the yard. Everything's fine. I opened the gate and went out, hit the gravel out there. I took 2 or 3 steps. I felt like my feet were on fire. I stepped on all this gravel and sticks and stuff. So I said, "Hey, guys, I just remembered Grandma said that I had to wear shoes." So I tippy-toed back across the gravel, ran in the house, put my shoes on, went back out. Stood next to the mule, and they looked at me, rolled their eyes, and they said, "Well, get aboard." How do I get on this thing? This mule was huge. I could have walked underneath it and not hit my head. No ladders. So anyway, finally one of the boys stuck his hand down and said, "Okay, grab hold." So he pulled me up, and I pulled up behind him there. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever ridden on a mule or not. It's like doing the splits on the floor. Your body doesn't bend that way. So I'm trying to get comfortable up there on this mule, and the mule's name was Blackjack. They said, "Giddy up, Blackjack." The mule goes forward. I did a flip right off the back of him, right on my butt, right where I started from. So they rolled their eyes again, helped me back on the mule, got up there. So we started down the road. Now, I've never ridden a horse. I've never ridden a mule. The mule goes up, I'm coming down. I'm coming down, the mule's going up. So after just a short distance, I was starting to get blisters where the sun doesn't shine. And we had just started this journey. So we started on down the road, and we got just a little ways, and one of them said, "Well, this is the place where we're going to pick blackberries." So I slid off the horse, or the mule, and started into the blackberry patch. They had taken their shirts, and they had them around their waist. They put their shirts on. Now, I don't have my shirt on. Now, believe it or not, blackberries have stickers all over them. I'm in the blackberry patch just a short time. I've got blackberries vines all over me. I've got blood trickling down my arms and my back. My feet are still hurting. My butt's hurting. And then one of them says, "Oh, be careful for snakes." Now I'm going to get killed by a snake. Okay, so we didn't pick, I don't think I found a single blackberry. But we didn't last too long. Go back over, we get back on Blackjack, and we start back home. We hadn't gone very far, and one of them said, "Have you ever slung persimmons?" "Oh, yeah, I've slung persimmons all over. I don't even know what a persimmon is." Anyway, they said, "Well, we're going to throw some persimmons." So he stopped, got off, and one nice pocket knife out, carved a little stick, made a little switch out of it, and there was a persimmon tree there. So he'd start picking the persimmons off. He'd cut me a stick and give it to me. They'd put the persimmon on the end of that stick and they'd whip it like that, and that persimmon just shoot off there like a rocket. Those guys were good. They could probably hit a bird in flight. They said, okay, you do it now. You've done it before. I put a persimmon on, I whipped it, it fell off behind me. I whipped it again, it fell off in front of me. I whipped it again, it went straight up, and we all ran for cover, you know. So one said, you're not very good at this, are you? And I said, well, I haven't had very much practice, you know. I just need to practice more. So one of them said, well, here, are you better at eating them? So he flipped me over a persimmon. I took a big bite. Now, have you ever eaten a green persimmon? I could have whistled Dixie forever because my mouth was so puckered up. Well, I took the persimmon, the only thing I could think of, and I threw it and hit one of them. Okay, that started the war. They were loading those sticks up and throwing those things at me faster than I could throw them back at them. Well, anyway, they got tired of that. I had welts all over me. I'm sunburned. My feet hurt. I got blood trickling down my arms, and my butt still hurts. But boy, was I having a good time. So we got back on old Blackjack, and we started back home, and we got to the front door, and I slid off the mule, and they said, well, back over again. We'll do some more fun things someday. Yeah, when they find out that kicking their dog is not any fun, they're going to pick on me. So anyway, I started back in the yard there, closed the gate behind me, and I just got to the house, and I looked around, and I saw one of Grandma's great big old plump hens over there. I thought, oh no, that was my job to take care of the chickens, feed them, water them, don't let them out. I thought, I'm going to get in trouble now because Grandma's hen's out. So I tried to corral the hen to go out the gate. I couldn't get it to go. So then I was scared with this persimmon. I had one persimmon left in my stick. I stuck that thing on there and I whipped that thing, and that thing shot across the road there like a rocket, hit the chicken right in the head and killed it. I ran over and I picked the chicken up, and it flopped around like a wet noodle in my hand. And I thought, my word, what am I going to do with this? Grandma's going to kill me. This was my job to watch over her livestock and stuff. I'm standing there holding this chicken, and then I looked up and I saw Grandma's old 35 Dodge coming down the road. I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I ran over and I hid in the bushes with this dead chicken in my lap. So Grandma went by me, she didn't see me, and I thought, oh boy, I'm safe. But now she's still going to come back to the house, and I still got this dead chicken. Aha, I'm not too dumb. I'll bury the carcass. So I took my hands and I dug a real shallow grave, and I threw the chicken in there and put leaves and grass and rocks and everything else I could find on it, covered up the grave. I just came out from my hiding place. Grandma came to the gate. She says, Henry, what are you doing? I says, nothing, Grandma. She said, well, you look terrible. She said, look, you've been in a fight. And I said, no, Grandma. I said, I just really had a good time. I explained her all the things that we did. She said, well, I don't know if I'll let you go out with those boys anymore. She said, they were very mean to you. I said, no, Grandma, I'm fine. So we go in the house. She said, well, go clean up. Get ready for supper. I said, okay. So we go in the house. We're all sitting down for supper. And we just got started, and my mother was sitting next to me, and she got up. She said, look at Grandma. Mama, she called her. My grandma, Mama. Mama, look at this. So we looked out the window. There's a chicken out there in the yard, walking in circles. Had dirt all over it, grass and weeds. It would sit down for a while, and then it would fall down, and then it get back up and take a few more steps and fall down again. And she says, Henry, do you know anything about that? And I said, oh, no, Grandma, I don't know nothing about that. And she said, well, I think the mules either kicked that or got hit by a wagon or something. She said, that's pitiful. So she said, okay. She said, I'm going to go have to dispose of the chicken. So she left, and I don't know what she did with the chicken. Next day is Sunday. We're all sitting around the dinner plate. Grandma, I was at the head of the table there, and Grandma handed me some salad. She said, here, take some salad, Henry, and pass it on to your sister, which I did. She handed me this bowl. She took the lid off, and there was a chicken in there. My dead chicken's laying in there. It had a head on it. It had been looking at me. So I said, I don't think I want any chicken, Grandma. She said, well, are you sure? I said, don't you like chicken? And I said, I do, Grandma, but I just don't want any today. So she said, well, pass it on to your sister, which I did. I looked up at Grandma, and she kind of winked at me. She, Grandma knew. I love Grandma.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.